I think it's fascinating to see how I don't recognize that the regular customer would know how advanced and how a modern CEO would need to be a CTO as well in the food and beverage industry. So thanks very much, Christine and Omar, for that CEO series. We move on to a panel discussion now where we're talking about driving sales through social channels, moderated by Rita Makhoul, Managing Editor of ArabNet.
Hello again. I don't know about the rest of you, but now I'm craving a Boston cream donut really bad. So, and right after the coffee break. So we'll try to make this short and sweet right now. So I think, I'm not going to announce lunch. You'll probably kill me. I don't know if lunch is next, is it? Anyways, so globally right now, there are over 3 billion social accounts across Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. According to Shopify, Facebook has the highest conversion rate for all social media e-commerce traffic. Brands and publishers today are increasingly integrating e-commerce into their social strategies. So what we're going to be discussing in this panel today is the role of social channels in driving sales, how consumers are engaging with social commerce, and the key opportunities in this space. Joining us in this panel today is Hana Khatib, Managing Director of Levant at Mindshare, and Dona Bardawil, Group Marketing Manager at Holdal Group. Hello, ladies. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I hope I got your titles wrong because I saw an expression. All right, so to get started, can you just give us a bit of an understanding of what you both do and about the companies like Holdal Group and Mindshare as well, and like a brief intro of both yourselves, and then we can jump right into the topic. Let's start.
Okay, so I'm the Group Marketing Manager at Holdal Abu Adal Group. It's one of the leading retail and distribution groups in the region. We are very diversified, so we operate in sectors like FMCG with Colgate Palmolive, Tahiti, Soupline, and others, and also in healthcare, in beauty and grooming with Estée Lauder, Tom Ford, Clinique, Kenzo, and other brands, and retail with brands like Lacoste, Longchamp, Kipling, and the luxury watches such as Patek Philippe, Chaumet, and Dior, and so on.
Okay, I'm part of Mindshare actually, which is a marketing and a communication agency. We advise our clients on the best communication channels that they need to use in order to reach to their targeted consumer. And the beautiful thing is that actually I have lived with this company for long enough to see the evolution in this industry. You know, we went from classical channel buying into a highly technical and engaging type of communication channels. And the beautiful of Mindshare way of doing things is basically we evolved as we go, and we try to pioneer and be ahead of our clients in order to advise them on what's happening and the best way to communicate with your audience of today and of the future.
So maybe you can help us get started when understanding which social media platforms are driving the most conversions, in particular to the region.
Okay, it is very safe to say that Facebook and the Facebook family of applications are driving the bulk of sales in our region. And that is mainly coming from the fact of in the last 1.5 years that Facebook actually introduced new changes in their ad platforms in order to focus more on the business and actual deliveries and actual sales of a client's communication. And there's one more thing which is basically there since day one is what we call the gray market in social, where actual users of the platforms are posting and selling items online. And in some cases, some instances like on Instagram, on WhatsApp, we've seen actual users selling their homemade products. So we can see this people establishing their businesses at home and started to communicate with friends and acquaintances in order to sell their maybe cupcakes or maybe certain craft that they have done at home. So it is that, yeah.
I think that's certainly, like, I'm sorry, you're saying that, and I just remembered this article I read in the Atlantic a year ago, where they were like talking about how, especially in this region, you see a lot more of that, like a lot of the people with home-baked products selling like in the region, in GCC mostly.
Yeah.
And what was very interesting is they highlighted an account that was selling sheep in Kuwait. Sheep and goats, or something of that sort, via
in Kuwait
Instagram.
And inside Saudi Arabia on Eid al-Adha, they do actually sell sheep on WhatsApp and Instagram. That's true. But the interesting fact is that when you look at stats, they would tell you that 85% of e-commerce activities coming from social is basically attributed to Facebook only. So it's 85% of that coming from Facebook only.
Facebook to group or the platform? Because my next question was going to be, if you're looking at Facebook, where's the highest you're seeing? Like, and is it Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp?
Usually it is the family of
the
Facebook.
Family.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, yeah.
And are these numbers reflected at Holdal, or?
Actually, in the region, I do echo Hana, and it is really Facebook that is the majority. So we have, for example, in Lebanon, 3 million active Facebook users compared to Instagram at about 780,000. So we see a big gap, but still we shouldn't disregard the other platforms. In a study also global, so although Facebook is driving the majority in terms of online sales, the other specialized platforms such as Instagram and others and Pinterest, they drive the highest basket value in terms of sales. So this is interesting. So for those who have brands that are more expensive or even specialize in fashion or beauty, we shouldn't disregard the other platforms which are a nice added value to Facebook.
Wow, those are very interesting insights. So that makes it essential for brands to be on every single social platform.
Well, not necessarily. It really depends on each brand and it's the strategy and the broader strategy. It depends on the status of the brand. Is it a new brand, established? Also, we need to answer key questions such as who are the target audience, on which platform they are, and accordingly choose the platform that is the best fit, not only in terms of image and target audience, but also in terms of budget. You know, the days where Facebook was free are long gone, so now you need to pay to be visible. So you need to have a subsequent budget to be able to be well present on social media. So you don't need to be on every channel that's out there. So perhaps Snapchat is good for you because you're targeting youth, perhaps Instagram if you're in a beauty field. But one thing is for sure is that if you're managing different platforms, you need to avoid posting the same thing across all the...
See, that brings me to the next question. It's like, how, in your opinion, what would be the best practice to optimize cross-platform strategies, like how to better distribute, what kind of content to have maybe on the different platforms? What would the best practices, in your opinion, be for that?
In my opinion, so we should avoid using this button that's very tempting, which is when you're in an app, for example, Instagram, and posting automatically to Twitter or to Facebook, because that makes it look not pretty. And when we say not pretty on social media, it means not efficient. And in the same time, you need to take into account the specificities of each platform. So, for example, hashtags are great, are essential for Instagram, and you can go up to 30. On Twitter, it's ideal is 4. On Facebook, the more you have hashtags, the less engagement you get. So it's really, you need to, this is called cross-promoting versus cross-posting. Cross-posting is when you post the same content exactly across different platforms. This is not recommended for the reasons we mentioned. And also, so you need to cross-promote, so you adapt the same content to the different channels.
Yeah, I'd like to say that brands need to be adopting this agile approach. It's very important that you tailor-make your content and the experience based on each and every platform that you are planning to engage your consumer with. And it's very important for us to keep this kind of update to the activities on real time, and how that content is being actually used and consumed, and what kind of engagement each and every one is basically creating for the campaign. And then the optimization should keep that content relevant at every stage of the conversation with your clients. So I would like to highlight one area, which is the fact that it's very easy for us to measure what kind of impact our paid social is basically doing on e-commerce, on the e-commerce front. But I would say that the challenge that we are all facing in today's world is the fact on how we can assess the actual content that each and every social platform is basically creating, and what kind of real engagement, and what kind of real impact on the end results and on the sales result that this content is generating. This is the challenge that most marketers are not able to answer nowadays.
And how would you help them tackle that?
We're still working on it, actually. So this is something that we are focusing on nowadays. It's not only because that paid or per click type of assessment is available through many tools, but the PR side of it and the content side of it and the engaging side of it is the challenging part that we need to still to quantify as an actual impact on the end results.
All right, well, let's take, for example, luxury brands. And the reason I want to mention luxury brands is because we've seen them completely change their behavior in the past few years in their behavior, their perspective on social media platforms. I remember when social media platforms first came about, luxury brands would avoid it like they were allergic to it. It's like, no, that's not our image, and now we see them adopting it more. How has their behavior changed towards social platforms? How are they using it? Let's start with that, first of all, in their change of behavior, and take it from there.
So we see a change of behavior in most luxury brands which had a no attitude before. So now most of them are present and very actively present on most channels. Even some are going into Snapchat, which are really tricky to crack. For example, on Instagram, Chanel is like the leading brand on social media.
They create amazing videos.
Exactly. And you have star-studded videos, you have back from the fashion show videos. So, and the key, the formula that they created is to get personalized experience, and it's all about the experience, and they do immersive experience. So the promise that they are doing is that even via social media, they are getting you to deep dive into their world, to the universe, and they are doing this not for the sales of today, they are doing this for the customers of tomorrow. Because not all of the 26 million followers of Chanel are potential clients today, but this is how they're creating the aura of the brand for tomorrow.
Have you been seeing this change of behavior with your clients?
Yeah, actually, I want to thank you for using the Chanel example because this is a Mindshare global account. And it's really interesting. Yeah, thank you. It's really interesting to say that it's a whole set of capabilities and tools and systems were designed and created specifically to cater for the Chanel and the likes of Chanel, the luxury brands. It's exactly what you said, Dona. It's about how you can personalize that engagement with your audience and how you can be seen as uniquely communicating with that specific audience, because it's the Amazon type of communication, as if I'm talking to you and only you. So the way of engagement is as if I'm creating that content that will only appeal to you. So how I can be individual and unique and highly personalized in my communication with you is the key thing. And of course, it's how I can tell that consistent story across the channels. Right. 360 across each and every touch point that I'm going to have with you as a unique consumer.
So you've got all these different social platforms you need to consider, and then there's the entire consumer journey you have to consider. How do you personalize content for every stage of that consumer journey?
Actually, it's a big investment on the staffing front. So it's about identifying the right talent for each and every step of the way. So in the case of, during the old days of media communication, we were separating completely the content creation from connection planning of your clients. But now in today's digital communication, we can see that these two parts are totally integrated, that you cannot just separate them. So content is your media, and media should be a reflection of that content. So it is how we are basically finding the right talent in order to be part of that group, in order to identify the need of a specific brand and answer these needs across every stage.
Is that what's being done at Holdal? Okay.
She talked about many things. So you're talking about how to personalize the
Content across like the different steps of the consumer journey.
Yes, exactly. So we do, this is what I was talking about. We differentiate our content based on if we're talking about on Facebook, by email, in store. We have also communication. We try to do this 360 degree even by when we send an SMS today also, because SMS is still a key way to for the one-to-one discussion. We send also the link, and we try to get the conversation back. So we ask them questions. It could be a poll, it could be a survey, it could be a competition. We can send a link. So we're trying, but in terms of content and creativity, you need to make sure that your visual branding is consistent across all these touch points. The consumer needs to recognize you directly. It can be by the color palette, by the style of talking, by the image.
And where do you get the information from? Like, how do you know what color to use? Are you collecting certain data or insights?
No, there are brands that have guidelines when we are representing certain brands. Let's say Pupa, it's red and white. Clinique, it's black and white. So we have to use their guidelines. And of course, we as corporate marketing, when we talk about Holdal, we have created our visual brand identity, and we use them. It's like a Bible. We need to abide by these guidelines to be consistent. And because it's you have so many clutter, the media scene and the online scene, everyone is bombarded all the time with content. So if you don't strive to create a certain identity, you will fall into oblivion. So you will not make it and get the attention of the user.
But that's a step, or like, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that like a step that falls under maybe early stage aspect of the consumer journey, where you're working on the branding more than driving sales?
Yes.
So what do you do when you get to that part? So you've worked, you've managed to cut your way or carve your way through all the clutter. You've grabbed that person's attention, and then how do you start? Like, how do you start converting the sales?
This is very important. So for exactly also for those who don't have e-commerce, it's very important to be creative. In our region, e-commerce is not present in all the doors, all the groups. So what we are doing is that in every step, we try to send people back and forth. From the stores, we send them back to, please like this, you can get an extra discount if you follow this page. So we try to get them back in the funnel. Also, online, we try to get the leads. For example, on Mustela, the baby brand, we created a website. Also, we asked people to register, and since it's only sold in pharmacies, and we wanted to make the channel to get them introduced to the whole brand, we send them, if you can go to the nearest pharmacy and get your free gift. So that way, we create a link between us online, between the customer online, and between the traditional
bringing their online experience offline.
Exactly.
Are you trying to adopt an omni-channel type of experience?
Yes, exactly. So omnichannel actually is where we aspire to get. This is the key challenge that I see today. When I look at the US, at Europe, they are getting there, and when I look at the region, I see that we have a lot of work to do. So this is our key challenge, and our action plan that we're starting to put to get there is ideally want to have the people get recognized when they are online in the store so that they continue the same experience across the board.
Well, Hana, when you're talking to clients, what are you finding their biggest pain points are when it comes to marketing and selling their products online?
Actually, they have more than one issue that we discuss from time to time. The first would come to mind is trust. Actually, in our regions, trust is still a big issue for e-commerce and digital transactions. People are still in our region are not 100% used to the fact of doing everything online the same way that people of America or the Western countries are basically doing it. And this is particularly true about a certain age bracket, which is the upper age bracket, maybe baby boomers and Generation X, which is less of an issue with the younger generation. And another one that is also related to trust is that when it comes to e-commerce, most of people would actually opt for cash on
Right.
payment on
It's one of the biggest pain points for every e-commerce player in the region.
Exactly, and that basically creates another issue for the clients because it's very hard to manage. And here as an agency, we need to do a lot of education on the safety of financial transactions online and on the creating that kind of trust between people and the e-commerce platform. There are other issues that they're facing, like, for example, early bounce rate. Imagine yourself investing time and effort, a lot of time and effort and money in order to identify quality leads and then succeed in moving these people to actually buy. And the minute they access your website and they start basically engaging with your products and filling their cart, they abandon it. They just do not complete the purchase.
So they've added things to the basket and they've just left it there.
Exactly. So we need to understand why, what happened. So what expectations these people had in mind when they first clicked on that buy button and what made them change their mind so early in the journey. So what kind of engagement tools I can create in order to interact with these people and understand exactly what do they expect out of such a website and have that ready for them in the future. And what are the criteria for people to abandoning their cart after sometimes populating it with items? And they were 100% true about buying, and then they changed their mind the last minute. So again, we need to understand what are the factors behind this behavior. There are some factors that we have zero control over, like maybe his mom called him before he pressed that final submit button. But there are other factors that we do and can control, like maybe an insight would tell us that people are not actually, when they are populating their cart, they're not actually intending to buy, because some people are treating this cart as a wish list. So we need
like window shopping at a mall.
Exactly, window shopping. So we need to create a kind of tool to make these people actually email that card to their inbox maybe and stay there as a wish list. So whenever they are ready to bring that wish to reality, then they would know what kind of items they had there. And we can keep on pushing for relevant messages to remind them about what they were interested in when they accessed that website and why in the first place they were interested in that specific product. So that's it.
Thank you. I think we're almost, but we have time for Q&As, right? For one question. Right in the front row, there's a question right over there.
You're not allowed to ask.
Hi, actually I have a question for Mrs. Khatib. So I heard you've been talking about how Facebook has been driving around like 85% of e-commerce. I just wanted to ask, and especially since you guys, do cross-communication planning and what have you, I just want to see what the role of offline media, if any, is, if it still has any role to lead up to even e-commerce and sales. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I'm very passionate about that topic because, thank you for asking that question. Basically, people tend to think that everything now is happening online, while in reality, this is not the case. As media consumers, we are loyal to the content that we are consuming, to the content that we are watching or following. So honestly, I believe that regardless of the channel, transmitting that content, people are loyal to the content. So in our region and this part of the world, offline still have a very strong impact on people's behavior and actual impact on sales. And we do have a couple of clients who are an online-based client like OLX and HighCart, who are benefiting a lot from offline communication. And it was proven as a source of real traffic to their websites is basically this offline communication. So they're still playing a very big role in driving sales.
Sorry, but do we know the age bracket of who's being impacted by offline?
Actually, the examples we have in Lebanon, it is surprisingly enough, it's about the young age bracket. So TV at a certain point in time for certain content and certain programs is still delivering on the conversion to online buying.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you both for joining us. If anybody else has any questions, please find them off the stage. Thank you.